Hi, I'm Jenny Mulcahy and have recently been the recipient of an AHAIR grant through Umbrella Studio. Today I'm just going to go through one of the projects I worked on for this residency and show you how it's done. Okay, I'm working with glass, and normally I work with 3mm glass, and I fire that together and I get a 6mm thick sheet. For this one I'm doing something a bit different. I'm using old framing glass from picture frames, and it's only 2mm thick, so it enables me to actually have an extra layer of content in the work. This is the finished piece, so this is what I'm aiming to do, is to recreate a similar version of that. So the first step is to obviously cut your glass, and because I'm using float glass as opposed to art glass, one side of it has a tin surface, which is where when they make the glass, they float it out on a water with a tin on the surface, which sort of helps stabilise it. And so before you use it, you need to work out which side is the tin side, because if you do not do that, you can end up with an opaque finish rather than a transparent finish. So the first thing is to clean the glass, and I've cleaned it all with detergent. Worked out the side the tin's on, marked the tin side bits, so you can see where I've marked tin. This is marked with just a black marker, which will burn off in the firing, so you don't have to worry about that. And you need to know, because as you're assembling the work, you need to be aware which side you're putting against another piece. Okay, so for this, using the 3 pieces of glass, I first need to work on the bottom bit, the bottom layer, which is this one. And for this, I have a decal that's been applied. The topic of the work is about the plant species that are endangered, very endangered, and they've been dubbed the hottest 100. So it's the 100 most fragile plants that we have left. For this one, because I'm assembling 3 layers, and you can't put a decal and a bit of glass together just straight off and fire them and fuse them, you need to fire the decal first, which I did. I fired this one yesterday, so that's already on there, and you can see that it's gone a sepia colour. When it first goes on, it's a black print, like that. This one hasn't been fired, so this will go into the kiln for another work. Okay, once it's fired, it goes that nice sepia colour. So this is the bottom layer. The next layer I'm working on is just going to be a blank one, and I just make sure that it's really clean. I've cleaned it with water and everything, and I just go over it again with detergent. With alcohol. I've been over it with just ordinary detergent, and while I'm cleaning it, I can also clean off that black if I wish. It doesn't really matter if it's still there, but I can. A bit off-putting. Okay, so I actually glue these together with super glue, and that stops them moving, because when you've got the layers, and when the layers are actually placed on top of the design that I put on the shelf, they can move very easily. Let's put a little bit of super glue in the corners. Like so. And this bit fits over the top. Like so. And some of these edges are a little bit, because I've cut them and you can't always cut things exactly straight, there's a bit of crumbling. They will, if you fire them high enough, they will melt together, so you get a nice smooth finish on the edge. there. Okay, so then I have to do the top sheet, which is going to be the list of, or more text about the plants. Okay, so I have this thin piece of glass. And the decal on, I just, ready? Okay, so this decal's been soaking for a few minutes and it can easily slide off. So you need to place it there as carefully as you can on the edge of the glass and just slip this base piece out, and then make sure you place it where you, exactly where you want it. It's fairly friendly stuff to work with. And once you've got it where you want, you just smooth out air bubbles and creases. I've had it on the towel so it will absorb that excess water from the dish. I'm just going to put it now on the white so I can actually make sure it's where I want it. And as you can see, that the tin side is up, so it's not going to be in contact with the one below it. Just to move a little bit that way. When that's all in place, normally I leave these a day to dry, but just for now I'm just going to join it to this middle bit of glass. Let's see the process again. The super glue burns out so it doesn't leave any residue there at all, and that goes on the top. And once again, just sort of give it a bit of a wriggle to make sure that that glue's sitting down. Okay, so that is now ready to fire, but not until tomorrow because the decal's got to be really dry. And also before it goes in the kiln, it has to go on the kiln shelf, which is covered with a design, which I will show you how I've made. What I'm aiming to make is sort of, as I said before, a recreation or something similar to this. And so what I've done is I've piped on the design using alumina. It's like a thickened kiln shelf wash mix. Okay, but you need to leave this sit for at least a day. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to leave that for now, and I'll show you how to put it on. Now you need to, it's best to apply the decoration, if you're going to put any decoration on, when the kiln wash is slightly damp so it sticks properly. Excuse me. And because I did this yesterday, I'm just going to damp down this a little bit. You can just do freeform decoration, and what it basically does is that it's creating a ridge which the glass, as well as fusing, the glass slumps over, so you're getting a bit of a three-dimensional effect happening as well. So I'm just using one of these little really cheap cake icing sets. So you just need to use something like this. Sometimes I use a syringe. You need a steady hand. And also when you're doing this, you can't have the lines too close together because it doesn't leave enough room for the glass to slump down between the lines. Can't see where it's coming out. Normally I'm standing right over the top of this, but I can't because if I do that you won't see it. Okay. Finished piping the design on. What is really important that if you do try this, you need to make sure any marks that you've made in the kiln wash are covered up with kiln wash again. Because if you have a scratch mark where you've made a drawing or you've missed a little bit, the glass can stick to it and that ruins your whole work. So where I've got some little bits that I'm actually going to leave those openings that I like, where it naturally broke, I just get a bit of fairly liquid kiln wash and just go along and make sure that there's no breaks in those areas. Okay. And also, as it dries, if you don't like it to be so clumpy, you can come along and sort of scrape some of that off and then just go back and make sure you patch up any little bits that you've knocked. If you are making just flat glass, you would not want to be touching it up with the brush because all those marks would show on the glass. But when I'm doing this, I'm aiming for a lot of texture, so that's why I use this. Okay, so we'll put this one aside for now because this can't be used until it's completely dry, which will take a day. And then this is one that I prepared yesterday, just for this purpose. See how that design is all dry and it's starting to crack. And as I put the glass on the top, that crack will move a lot, so it's very important that you, once you put it on there, you try not to move it too much. Okay, so what I do, I lift this up and sort of place it where I want it to be and just carefully put it down. And you can see that the reason for super gluing it, because there's 3 layers of glass and it's just balanced on those ridges. So if it's not super glued together, one bit of glass can slide off. Okay. And then to get some of this effect that I have on this one, I used little fragments of fritted glass that are actually not compatible with this. It's an art glass, it's bullseye glass, and so it melts at a different temperature to this float glass, and so you have that reaction. But I'm not going to put that on now because if I move it, it'll start falling off. So I just want to let that dry properly first, make sure the glue's dry, and then I add that later. And then this goes in the kiln tomorrow and gets fired. And hopefully we'll end up like this one. And that's it.